Hi, this is Lorraine with ChatnCraft with Lorraine Tierney, and I'm here tonight to show you some shadow stamping. I'm just going to get set up on Facebook and get adjusted here so that we can see everything. We're going to need to be able to see my stamparatus, the whole thing, to be able to do this. So let me just take a minute and get this set. I hope you've had a great weekend. I'm coming to you from Warner, New Hampshire. It's a little town of 3,000 people, not too far from the capital of New Hampshire, Concord. And we had a lot of snow last night, about 6 inches. So it's quite beautiful here today, and I'm quite grateful that my hubby does the snow removal and I didn't have to do any of that. So that was just great. Okay, I think we are pretty good here. So I want to show you, we're going to use the Blessings of Home stamp set tonight. And this is a new one that you'll be able to order in the January to June 2022 mini catalog, and that goes live on January 4th. And I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. If you don't have a demonstrator and you need a catalog or you'd like to order anything, please just let me know how I can help. Okay, so this is the stamp set we're going to use. I'm going to put it over here. It will hold my plate up. And this is the technique that we're going to do. This is called shadow stamping. And I hope you can see on there that it looks a little bit more 3D. The image has been stamped twice. Once with the Whisper White craft ink and once with the Fresh Freesia. And here, and then it's been, I ran it through an embossing folder. But in order to compare, here it is just stamped in the Fresh Freesia. So the one that's incomplete is just a stamp. The other one is shadow stamping. So you can see that it looks kind of 3D-ish with the shadow stamping. It's got a softer look and a more dimensionalized look. So it's a really fun technique. It's one of those, now that I started doing this today, I've made a ton of cards that I'll show you at the end. I keep trying, oh, let's try this combination. Oh, let's try that. So let me go ahead and show you how we do this. There's just one other thing. So we're going to stamp on this piece of paper with white. And it's going to be in my stamparatus, like this, tucked way up into the corner, because I want to be sure I know where I'm starting with it. And then I'm going to move it slightly, and I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see when I move it, because I mean slightly. So I wanted to show you with these two pieces of paper that are the same size what I mean by slightly. When I do the second stamp, I'm going to move it like that much. Maybe not even that much. Can you see that little tiny strip of white there? It's white and then blue. That's all I'm going to move my paper over. Maybe even slightly less. If you do it too much, it almost looks like you're seeing blurry, and you don't want to do that. So probably like this amount, just the tiniest bit over is all that I'm going to move it. And it might take a little practice the very first time you do it, but I think you will like this technique once you do it. So I'm going to use my Whisper White craft ink. And I'm using one of the stamps. I've got this all set up so that it's going to stamp basically in the middle of my piece of paper there. Okay, and I got a little extra ink over there. Okay. And now I'm just going to really press. Oh, and I did take out my foam pad in my stamparatus because this is a cling stamp and you don't need the foam. I do put a silicone pad under there, and that keeps my paper in place very nicely. I'm going to ink that up one more time. It's a little light over here. And there we have the white image. Now the Whisper White is a pigment ink, and it's a little bit harder to get off the stamps. This is probably going to be a little bit noisy. I'm going to spray a little bit of the Stampin' Mist. This is Stampin' Up's Stamp Cleaner that you can use in those scrubby Stampin' Scrub, but you can also put it on your chamois, and you can see that that helps to dissolve that pigment ink because it's not as water soluble as the regular Stampin' Up ink. And I got that pretty wet, so I'm going to dry it off, and I'm gonna want to make sure that this white ink gets dry. It's a pigment ink. You could use your embossing gun, but I don't want the noise of that again, so I'm just going to use this one. And I'm not seeing any comments on here. If you are commenting and I missed something, please know that I'll come back to it and I'll look at it afterwards, but I'm missing everything. Okay, so that's cleaned off. This is dry, and now I'm going to move it over just that tiny scooch. I'm going to make sure my white paper is all the way in that corner so that maybe you can see that. To see. Okay, so we had it tucked right up in that corner, and now I'm just ever so little gonna move that over. I don't think you're gonna really be able to see that, and I'm trying to make sure that I have it the same at the top and the bottom. So can you see that little bit of white paper showing right in here? It's just a little bit. I can wait and see. Yeah, I don't think you can see that. But believe me, that's all it is. It's just moved over. It's not even a 1/16 of an inch. It's a tiny little amount. Now I'm going to use Fresh Freesia ink, and that's the same as this Fresh Freesia piece of paper. And I started with a piece of paper that was 3 3/4 by 5 because I want to mat it like this. Okay, I want to ink that up a little better. It's hard to see the Fresh Freesia ink. And now I'm going to put that down. And lift it up, and you start to see that definition a little there. Now, I probably got some white ink on my stamp because it may not have been dry, so I'm going to clean it off before I ink it up again because I don't want to get white ink on my ink pad. And I'm drying it just because that has that Stampin' Mist on it, and I don't want to stamp with that. Okay, so I'm going to ink that up one more time. And that's the beauty of the stamparatus. There you go. And so now it comes out with a little bit more depth. It looks almost 3D-ish. Okay, I'm going to keep that in the corner for a minute, and we'll put on our sentiment. So I take that plate out at a 90-degree angle. It just lifts right out. And I have the sentiment on this plate, and I moved it just a minute ago to put it on the second card that we're making. So this says, "Have a perfect birthday." And it's from, oh, I guess I didn't put a sentiment on that one. I think I'm going to leave it off because I really like it put through the embossing folder. So this is, oh, I forget the name of this, Tasteful Textiles, I think, embossing folder. This is one of those 3D embossing folders. I'm starting to see comments. I'm glad you guys like the technique. Good. I'm going to use this, and because it's a 3D embossing folder, I only use my Stamp and Cut and Emboss platform, and then I use the number 4 plate, which is just for the thick embossing folders. No other plates. So let me run this through really quickly. Now you'll see how beautiful that looks. And here's the difference again between that and just the plain ink technique. The ink on the left it's very pretty. I love it, but you get more of a dimensionalized or 3D kind of look with the shadow stamping. It looks a little bit realer, or like you maybe pressed it with a stylus. It gives it a little bit different look. So let me close this ink, and we are going to put this on a piece of white cardstock. And just center it. The white is 5 1/4 by 4. Get that glue off my finger. Okay, and then I'm going to use some of the Fresh Freesia, this sheer ribbon. I think that's what they call it. This is the best ribbon because it really ties a bow so easily, and I'm trying to learn how to tie my bows without cutting my ribbon off the spool. So let's see if we can do that tonight. I'm never very good at tying bows on camera, so we'll see how this works. Okay. And the benefit of leaving it on the spool is that you have enough to pull through. You're not fighting with an end that you maybe cut a little bit too short. And I'm telling you, this is the best ribbon. It always, always ties a nice bow. There we go. And then I'll just cut this edge off. And those of you that have seen me tie a bow on camera before will know that that was a little bit, or a lot, faster than I usually do. Okay, and then I have a Fresh Freesia card base, just a regular card base. I'm going to move that over just a bit. I want it to be right over the stem. I could put a glue dot to hold that. Maybe I'll do that later, but I won't do that right this minute. All right. So that card is pretty much done. And I want to show you one more with this, and then I'll show you the samples that I made. And I could put a couple of the Fresh Freesia gems on that, because I think it always looks better with a little bit of bling. So those are the two cards there. And again, I just love my white craft ink and all the things you can do with white craft ink. And here is the next card that we're going to make. And I seem to have, I cut my finger earlier today and I think I got a little blood on that. We'll just cover it up. But this one I used Balmy Blue paper with the Misty Moonlight ink and the white, and you can see the dimension in that again. And this stamp is a little bit bigger, so I did not put a ribbon or anything. I put a sentiment instead. So I have that on a different plate. And again, I'm going to make sure the magnets really stick to your stamparatus when you don't have that foam plate in there. You only use that foam plate when you are using the clear stamps. Okay, so I changed the size of the paper. This piece of paper is 3 3/4 by 5, but it was 4 by 5 1/4 when I stamped on it. So I'm going to need to move this stamp a little bit. And I think I want to have this card go landscape when we're done. So let me think of how I would want this stamp on there. I think I will put it more like that. We'll see. Somebody remind me that I said landscape when we get to that part. All right, so first again is the white. Ink it up really well. This is a little more solid of a stamp. It has a lot of detail in it, so I want to make sure I get some good coverage on that. And then I'm pressing, and I'm going to let that sit there just for a few seconds. Yep, and I'll do it a little bit more right in the middle. And I'll give it a good press. I mean, it's pretty just in the white like that, or white embossed would be gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. But I think this technique is a fun one too, and it really doesn't take that much more to do it. Oh, you can see I got a lot of Stampin' Mist on here. Now it's foaming right up on me. I'm gonna need to dry that off with my trusty paper towel. I want to get all that ink that's puddled in there out. There we go. If you have a little water bottle, which I had over here, it's probably on the floor someplace, you could always squirt it with a little bit of water, but I think that will be okay. Don't forget to move your piece of paper or you won't get that shadow part. I'm gonna try to make sure this is dry. And again, it's just in case you missed what I was showing you with the blue piece of paper, I'm going to move it over. So there they are lined up. I'm going to move it over maybe a total of just that much, just a tiny little bit, okay? You'll look like you have double vision if you do it too much. Just a tad. And then grab it with your magnets so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, and I'm going to use my Misty Moonlight. I think that's one of my favorite colors. I love that color. Okay. And you start to see it coming out. Whoops. And now you can see on this that it looks like there's some white ink on my stamp. I don't want to get that white ink on my ink pad, so I'll clean that off. Now you can tell why my hands are inky. Okay. And because it's on the stamparatus, I can stamp it up again. I don't think you would be able to do this technique without a stamparatus or some kind of stamping platform, because you really have to stamp more than once. There you go. I think that is dark enough. And we're going to go landscape, right? Can that go landscape? Maybe we're not going to go landscape. You don't have to yell at me. We'll have to figure that out. But that's how that one looks. You get this out of here. And we're going to do, on this one, I think I'm going to do the thank you sentiment. And this one says, thank you for inspiring me. I'm going to do just the thank you. I want it to be a little bit more generic. So I'm going to line this stamp up and make sure I get it straight because I don't have the words on it. I'm going to line my block up on my grid paper. And then I'm going to get that thank you lined up on the grid paper as well. And I'm going to try to just ink up the thank you by watching. Can you see this, I hope? Watching where I ink it up. There we go. So I just have the thank you. Now I want to make sure, well, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to hope this is straight. Let's see how I'm doing. I hope you can't hear that conversation going on upstairs. My husband's talking to my father-in-law, and my father-in-law talks a little bit loud on the phone. Okay. I'm just going for it and hoping that's straight enough. There we go. And so thank you. You can see that the misty moonlight on the flower is a little bit different color than the thank you, but I think it will be okay. That's the difference of having the white. And I love the way it looks, almost either embossed or just three-dimensional in there. It's really, really cute. So we'll put this one on, and then like I said, I have some others to show you. I did use a couple of other stamp sets and some different colors. Because I have to find the perfect colors to show you. I really liked the blue a lot, but I am partial to the blues, I think. Blues and purples. So you could put some Wink of Stella in there and get a little shimmer and shine. Make sure your white is really, really dry if you're going to do that. I'm not going to do that right now. But here is what we made tonight. These two. And then I tell you, I always think I like crumb cake with other colors, and I always want to love crumb cake, but I feel like this is just, I like the blue and the crumb cake, but it's too blah. I don't know, need something else. Maybe I should have put it through an embossing folder. But so this is Misty Moonlight here, but that is actually black ink on top of the white in this flower. It is not Misty Moonlight, but it just lightened it up so much. I put it on a Misty Moonlight mat. And then this one is Blushing Bride on top of the white ink and the crumb cake. And I put a couple of, I forgot, opal rounds, I think those are. Kathy, the white ink is the Stampin' Up! Whisper White ink pad. It comes uninked and with a refill, and you have to ink it up yourself. And then I did this one with the Shaded Summer stamp set. I have to put a little glue dot to hold that down. And Mary Merlot on there. And that has a little bit different look to it because the stamp has thicker lines on it than this one. This one's a finer stamp set. And then this is a new stamp set. I don't know the name of this one. Amazing Silhouettes, I think. And the center image doesn't stamp. It stamps around it. And so I also did this one with the white, and you can see a little bit of white in here, but I think there was too much open space. But I did think it would make a nice sympathy card just on the wood grain paper. So that's my introduction to shadow stamping for you. I hope you like it. You can see, let's see, I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 cards today, just playing around with this because it gets really addicting. And the only special thing you need is the white craft ink, and a stamparatus or a stamping platform makes it really handy. So I hope you liked it. I hope you'll like this video, share it, or tag a friend in it if you think somebody else might enjoy watching it or might learn something from it. I will load it up to my YouTube channel so that you can find it easily over there if you want to refer to it again. And if I can help you make cards at home, I would love to do that. I would be happy to send you a catalog if you're not already working with a demonstrator. And I will be back next Sunday night. Next Sunday night is Christmas, maybe? No, Christmas is Saturday. I will be back next Sunday night, so I wish you all a very Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Thanks for joining me tonight, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.